In my last video, I had a bunch of states and there was an issue. Let's say that I want to create a function called create states, and I want to create a bunch of states. And just like the last video number 24, I take in a character, and if the character equals A, I create a certain state. Else if character is B, then I create another state. This works, and this might be enough for a smaller game, but once your game gets bigger and bigger, if you wanted to create a new state, every time you wanted to create a new state, you have to add an if statement, and it just goes on and on and on. So C, A, B, C, D, E. So eventually, the more states you have, the more unmanageable this is going to get. So instead of this, let me create a new function. I'm going to turn this into comments. I'm going to start out with the template keyword. Let me explain this in a second. Type name T. I'm going to have a new function called create state. What this means is that whatever data type or class T is going to be, I'm still going to use it. So I'm going to create an instance T, whatever the class is, I'm going to call it a state. Don't be confused by the syntax. This isn't different from creating an integer, something like int n or float f double d. The only difference is that here we don't know what data type T is going to be. But again, we're still going to instantiate it. So let's say I have a class called state A. I have another class called state B, and so on. Back in our main, I'm going to create a state. And if I wanted to create a state A, I can just say state A here, and we're done. Essentially, all we're doing is replacing T with state A. And just for testing, let me create a constructor. If you don't know what a constructor is, make sure you check out my previous videos. For now, let me just create state A constructor, and I'm going to say state A is constructed. I'm going to run this, F5. Okay, here's the result. And you can see that I can create state A directly just by typing in the class name without the if statements. The T is just a variable name. Call it whatever you want. Call it whatever. This is still going to work. Okay, you can also call this class. These are just different ways to write the same thing. Okay, F5. Okay, it's the same result. But nothing's stopping you from putting in some random data type, some integer like this. This is still going to work, but there is no point here in the create state function instantiating an integer. You want to make sure that it's some sort of a state class. So in this case, I might have a base class called state. And I'm going to say that every state inherits from the base state. Okay, just like the last video. Let me also create a constructor for state B. State B is constructed. And for the function, I'm going to create a condition. Let me create a bool. Call it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it condition. And we can use something in the std, a function called is base of. So the question is the state class the base of T? And we're going to get a value. Whatever class T is going to be, we're checking whether that is a child of state. So for cases like state A or state B, we're going to get a true. If you put in something like an integer or a float, you're going to get a false. So if we meet the condition, if this is true, that's when we create an instance. So if I run this, F5, okay, we meet the condition for state A, we instantiate state A. And we can do the same thing with state B, F5. Okay, looks like I forgot to make this public for state B. Should work now. Okay, state B is constructed, but if I put some other data type, like an integer, which is not a child of state, F5, we're not going to meet the condition, so we do not run this line. Let me put this back to state A, and we can do state B. And you can just create additional states. I can do state C. State C is constructed, and I can create a state C, again without the if statements. Okay. For your homework, try Googling C++ templates, and you're going to see a bunch of opinions on how you should use templates. But the idea itself, the idea of templates itself is not that complicated. So just do your basic research. And in the next video, I'm going to come up with more specific examples. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can reach me on my Discord server. I have all the links below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.